Welcome back to our channel, your ultimate source for the deepest, most comprehensive dives into the thrilling, unpredictable world of Genoa City. Today is a truly fantastic day to unpack one of the most explosive, emotionally devastating, and high-stakes storylines currently unfolding on our screens. The drama is absolutely relentless. Let us dive straight into the heart-stopping action. The scorching landscape of Las Vegas has become the ultimate battleground for the Newman family, a neon-lit purgatory where their darkest nightmares have materialized into horrifying reality. The abandoned gas station, the intricate explosive traps, Nick Newman's agonizing battle with a tainted fentanyl overdose, and the desperate rescue efforts orchestrated by Victor Newman have created a chaotic symphony of destruction. Amidst this terrifying whirlwind, Sienna stands out as a completely unpredictable wildcard. Her heroic intervention with the life-saving Narcan pulled Nick back from the brink of death, but the psychological war is far from over. Nat Clark remains a lethal threat. Sienna is coming to the terrifying realization that as long as he breathes, no one she cares about will ever be truly safe. This chilling realization sets the stage for a catastrophic gamble. To truly understand Sienna Bacall's impending actions, we must delve deeply into her fractured psychological state and the profound trauma that drives her. Sienna is a woman perpetually haunted by the ghosts of her past, specifically the tragic death of her beloved brother to a severe drug overdose. This devastating loss has defined her entire existence, leaving her burdened with an unshakable survivor's guilt. When she witnessed Nick Newman spiraling into the abyss of addiction, poisoned by Matt Clark's intentionally tainted supply, it triggered every unresolved trauma within her soul. Saving Nick with the Narcan was a desperate attempt to rewrite her own tragic history. However, the architect of this misery, Matt Clark, represents the ultimate evil. For Sienna, taking down Matt has morphed into a deeply personal crusade for cosmic justice. The concept of poetic justice is a powerful narrative tool, and Sienna Bacall appears entirely ready to wield it with devastating precision. Matt Clark's most insidious act in this Vegas nightmare was the deliberate planting of tainted fentanyl to orchestrate Nick Newman's slow demise. Sienna, possessing an intimate knowledge of the Vegas underworld and the lethal nature of these narcotics, formulates a dark, incredibly dangerous plan. She intends to turn Matt's ultimate weapon directly against him. The strategy is as brilliant as it is terrifyingly reckless. She will drug Matt Clark with the exact same batch of tainted fentanyl he so callously used to poison Nick. It is a plan born of pure desperation, unadulterated hatred, and a twisted sense of karma. She envisions a scenario where Matt simply slips into a fatal coma, a fitting end for a boastful monster. Executing such a perilous plan requires nerves of absolute steel and a chilling acceptance of unimaginable risk. Sienna must transition from a grieving sister and a protective partner into a cold, calculating assassin. We can vividly imagine the tense sequence as Sienna methodically tracks the fugitive Matt Clark to his temporary, shadowy hideout. Every single step she takes is fraught with fatal consequences. She must utilize her underworld connections to infiltrate his space undetected. The physical act of slipping the lethal dose of tainted fentanyl into his drink demands absolute stealth. Sienna's heart will be pounding violently, her breath shallow, as she dances precariously on the razor's edge between life and death. She is an ordinary woman pushed to the absolute psychological brink by extraordinary evil, making her mission infinitely more terrifying. To fully grasp the monumental danger Sienna is actively courting, we must analyze the sheer psychopathy of Matt Clark. Matt is not a standard corporate villain. He is a sadistic predator who derives genuine pleasure from the profound suffering of others. His historical abuse of Sharon Newman and his relentless pursuit of Nick are terrifying testaments to his twisted nature. Matt operates under a massive god complex that allows him to view the entire Newman family as mere playthings in his grand designs. He is a man who orchestrates massive explosions and watches the resulting agony on a surveillance monitor with a genuine smile. Approaching a man of this terrifying caliber with a plan to murder him is akin to stepping into a locked cage with a starved tiger. If he detects even a microscopic hint of deception, his retaliation will be swift and devoid of mercy. The absolute climax of Sienna's dangerous game arrives when the tainted fentanyl finally enters Matt Clark's bloodstream. The initial moments might play out exactly as Sienna meticulously envisioned. A sudden lethargy washing over him, a faltering of his usually sharp movements, the slow glazing over of his cold eyes. Sienna watches from the shadows, her heart in her throat, wanting him to know exactly who orchestrated his magnificent downfall. She wants him to realize that the tainted drugs he weaponized to destroy the Newmans have ironically become his own executioner. The poetic justice in the room is palpable, a heavy atmosphere of ultimate retribution. Matt's body begins to violently betray him, the toxic chemicals ravaging his central nervous system exactly as they did to Nick. For a fleeting moment, Sienna believes she has achieved the impossible and won. However, the complex universe of the young and the restless rarely allows for such clean victories, especially against a villain deeply entrenched in darkness. As the lethal overdose truly takes hold, the terrifying reality of the situation dawns on Matt's fading consciousness. He realizes, with a jolt of pure fury, that he has been outsmarted and poisoned by a woman he vastly underestimated. But instead of quietly succumbing to the darkness as Sienna hoped, Matt's psychopathic rage ignites a terrifying surge of adrenaline. With the absolute last, desperate ounce of strength in his failing body, his survival instinct morphs into a singular, homicidal focus. If he is going to die, he is absolutely taking Sienna Bacall to hell with him. The scene instantly shifts from a silent poisoning to a brutal struggle for survival. Matt violently lunges at Sienna, hands locking around her throat. The desperate struggle between Sienna and a dying, enraged Matt Clark is destined to be a masterpiece of tragic television. Sienna, caught completely off guard by his monstrous resilience, fights desperately for air, her lungs burning. She violently claws at his hands, her vision rapidly blurring as the precious oxygen is ruthlessly choked from her brain. In these agonizing final moments, Sienna realizes the fatal miscalculation of her grand plan. She fundamentally underestimated the sheer willpower of pure evil. Yet, as the darkness rapidly closes in, a profound, heartbreaking acceptance washes over her soul. She knows that the fentanyl is already doing its fatal work. Matt Clark's miserable life is draining away with every second he spends crushing the life out of her. Sienna realizes that she is making the ultimate sacrifice to ensure Matt never poses a threat again. She dies as a hero. The immediate aftermath of this brutal double demise will send massive shockwaves of absolute devastation through the entire Newman family, but the impact will be most profoundly felt by Noah Newman. Noah has been through a psychological crucible of fire in Las Vegas, surviving terrifying captivity all while slowly opening his guarded heart to Sienna. Discovering her lifeless body will completely shatter his world into a million irreparable pieces. We can vividly anticipate gut-wrenching scenes of Noah falling to his knees in despair, his agonizing grief echoing through the neon-lit emptiness of the desert city. He will be completely consumed by a complex mixture of profound heartbreak and crushing guilt. Sienna willingly gave her life to protect him from a monster. The immense weight of that sacrifice will sit heavily on Noah's shoulders, altering his capacity to love another. The broader Newman family's reaction to Sienna's heroic death will be equally profound, deeply layered, and fraught with complex emotions. Sharon Newman, who initially harbored intense suspicions about Sienna's true loyalties and her shady connections to the Vegas underworld, will be struck by a paralyzing wave of remorse and immense gratitude. Sienna, a woman Sharon openly doubted, ultimately laid down her own life to permanently eradicate the monster who haunted Sharon's darkest nightmares. Nick Newman, currently battling the agonizing physical demons of his forced addiction recovery, will realize he owes his literal existence entirely to Sienna, first for the miraculous Narcan revival, and finally for eliminating Matt. Adam Newman, a man who intimately understands the dark lengths one must go to protect family, will view Sienna's final act with profound respect. The Newmans are finally free. From a broader narrative perspective, Sienna's ultimate sacrifice and Matt Clark's brutal demise fit perfectly into the rich historical fabric of the young and the restless. Over the decades, the character of Sharon Newman has been tragically targeted by some of the most iconic, terrifying villains in soap opera history. Men like the sadistic Cameron Kirsten and the manipulative cult leader Ian Ward inflicted unimaginable psychological torture upon her. The show has a long-standing tradition of bringing these terrifying chapters to definitive, often violent conclusions. Matt Clark's death by tainted fentanyl serves as a fitting, perfectly poetic end to his reign of terror, directly mirroring the dramatic downfalls of Cameron and Ian. The brilliant writers are methodically closing the book on the monsters of Sharon's traumatized past. Matt Clark was devoured by the dark karma of his own sadism. While Sienna's death is a profound tragedy, it also neatly resolves the inherent, deeply problematic narrative complications of her romantic relationship with Noah Newman. Let us be entirely honest, Sienna and Noah's romance was always built on a highly unstable foundation of shifting sand and shared trauma. There was simply too much dark baggage attached to her character. Sienna's deep ties to the dangerous Vegas underworld, her complicated past marriage to Mitch, her shady involvement with figures like Reza, and the heavy trauma of her brother's overdose created a dynamic that was inherently volatile and doomed to fail. Bringing Sienna back to the opulent world of Genoa City would have resulted in a constant clash of worlds. Her tragic demise in Vegas serves a highly necessary narrative purpose. It permanently elevates her character from a problematic love interest to an immortalized hero. With Sienna tragically but heroically removed from the canvas, the narrative path is completely cleared for a highly anticipated, deeply emotional resurgence for Noah Newman. His heart will be completely shattered, his spirit battered by the extreme trauma of Vegas, leaving him in desperate need of a strong, familiar anchor. This is exactly where the brilliant, highly calculating, and deeply complex Audra Charles steps back into the romantic spotlight. Audra and Noah have a rich, undeniable history, a powerful spark that was never fully extinguished despite their past conflicts. While Audra has been busy navigating her own complex battles in Genoa City, she will undoubtedly be drawn like a magnet to a grieving, vulnerable Noah. Audra possesses the exact strength and fierce loyalty required to help Noah successfully navigate his profound grief. Sienna's heroic exit paves the way for Audra to step in.